Hi, my name is Joanne Senoga, and I am an epidemiologist by training. I wanted to start this series of videos because I do believe now is a critical time to understand these concepts as everybody is becoming an epidemiologist. So, I wanted to kind of like reason with you through uh, where we're talking to kind of understand why certain things are the way they are, but also to understand the full things in a two by two table that are so critical to give you certain answers based on conditional probabilities. So one of the way we do it, and it is math, it's algebra, and it uses conditional probability, which is called Bayes' theorem. They don't put the M in front of it. Sometimes they call it Bayes' theorem or Bayes' rule. But what it does, it describes that the probability of an event happening based on prior knowledge or condition that might be related. So what does this mean? So you have seen probably already out there information on, let's say, the positivity rate. The Department of Public Health saying the positivity rate is around 7% or 0.07, or they would say it's 5% or 0.05, right? Or it is 0.1 or 10%. But to make things a little bit easier, we're going to use numbers that are kind of easier to calculate. And I kind of want us to kind of work into on some problems. So I am going to try to see here if I can utilize certain things. I don't think my screen can share right now the other thing that I wanted to do, but we will go with it. But this is the formula, the conditional probability, which, as you can see, it multiplies. It looks at the posterior, the prior event that happened, and it also look at margins. At the if you look at the denominator here, but it looks at prior events, which is important because we do have some values that we can use to solve for X. And we can actually work into these problems and we can understand and we can say, oh, this test has this sensitivity rate. And why is sensitivity and specificity important? Sensitivity is very important because it is the ability of uh, testing the patient positive. I'm going to be talking about COVID mostly because that is the most relevant issue that we have. So, why was this so important? Like prior to COVID coming to the U.S., China was suffering with COVID, and they had so many scientists that came up with the genome, which was important because that is the one that gave us the ability to test. So we have this test that use, if you understand a little bit of immunology, antigen antibody complex. But the antigen uses the genome of the RNA virus, and it uses this machine called the reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction. And what this does, it replicates if the genome is present, then you turn out to be positive. So after the Chinese study found out that the sensitivity rate of the tests out there that they had was 70%, New York University questioned, the accuracy of one of the other tests called Abbott test, and they came to a conclusion of um, a a sensitivity of about, not 86 because this is a different one, but they came to a sensitivity very close to about what the China study had seen of 70%. So why is this very important? But to get to that, Cleveland Clinic also conducted a separate study and found that the Abbott ID now COVID false negative rate was 14.8. Wow, that is such a high number. And so what this meant, um, a false negative rate, it meant that the sensitivity wasn't truly. So they had to kind of come up with ideas of maybe, if they did this one test, maybe they can wait 24 hours or, 48 hours till they can test again to see if they can pick up the test, based on maybe, the way they collected it. As you've seen, it's a nasopharyngeal swab that goes deep into your nose, and sometimes maybe the culture wasn't picked up right. So different, organizations came up with strategies to increase the sensitivity and decrease the false negative rate of this test. So I did mention that it is so critical to understand these two by two tables. And the reason why it is so critical is because now we can understand other things. So I brought this table, because can you believe this is coming all from a two by two table? So the thing that I kind of want to highlight is the true positive that you need to know or solve. If it's not given, we can always find out, right? And the other thing that I wanted to highlight was the false positive rate, also that you can solve from X. Once you get all these values, while you use the Bayes theorem, you can get a positive predictive value, a negative predictive value, which would fall under here as well, um, something called false omission rate. I don't want to get into that because that is so iffy. You do not need to know that. But I want you to know, to see also how complex and how much information you can get out of this. This was used for the fecal occult blood screen, which detects colon cancer, and how accurate it is. And as you can tell, this has a low sensitivity rate, the fecal occult blood screen test. So usually when they do this test, they always have to follow up with a colonoscopy to see if that person has cancer, in addition to other symptoms such as anemia. And given the population, let's say, typical, it's a male, uh, but that's a little bit of epidemiology over there. But what I'm trying to say, we can get so much information out of this. So without further ado, I want to see if I can actually start with our own numbers, right? Let's do this from scratch. And so let me see if I can do this. No.